Here's a rundown of the key points from Quiz 8. So, Hannibal. This is another one of those questions where it's a combination of what did Rome do right and what did Hannibal do wrong. So, in his march toward Italy through Spain and Gaul, and later in Italy itself, Hannibal collected allies from among the local peoples who marched with him, and these were people that were interested in ending the threat of Rome by siding with Hannibal. This gave Hannibal the great numbers that he had, as well as making parts of Italy itself hostile territory. 2 successful annihilations of Roman forces at Lake Trasimene and at Cannae demoralized the leadership and terrified the populace of Rome. While the Romans were divided over the best response to Hannibal, the dictator Fabius pursued a strategy of avoiding battle and harassing Hannibal's marching army, earning him the nickname the Delayer, while attacking, taking, and punishing Italian, Sicilian, and Spanish cities allied with Hannibal one by one. Slowly, Hannibal was hemmed into the south, where his army was depleted and softened. Finally, Scipio won support for a bold stroke against Carthage itself, while its armies were in Italy. The Roman response also included responding to portents and seeking the help of the gods, promising massive animal sacrifices, and on the recommendation of the Sibylline books and the Greek oracle at Delphi, imported the ancient Anatolian goddess Magna Mater, represented by an iron meteorite, and her cult to Rome. The result of this is a galvanizing effect on the populace of Rome, overcoming their terror by seeing this religious response. There's nobody more superstitious in the ancient world than the Romans. And this was a very effective means of bringing the Romans together and overcoming the effects of, the shock of Hannibal's invasion and the defeats early on at the start of the war. So the upshot here is Hannibal doesn't capitalize on his immense advantage that he has after Trasimene and Cannae. Part of this is that he shies away from attacking Rome directly for reasons that are open to speculation, and instead concentrated on the south as a means of depriving Rome of allies and resources. But this gives Fabius the opportunity to block Hannibal into this path and to close off the possibility of attacking Rome, the result being that Rome is thereupon able to pursue a policy of attrition against Hannibal while working against Hannibal's allies, and being able to recover, being able to restabilize, and finally to go on the offensive. And this is what makes the defeat actually possible. Rome shifts from simply defending the city of Rome, what it had been doing for the previous hundreds of years, and to go on the offensive and attack Carthage itself is a turning point in the history of Rome and one of the key, primal moments of the creation of the Roman Empire. How did the Gauls' sack of Rome in 390 change things for the Romans? The basic upshot here is that the Gauls attack the city of Rome and take it and loot it and destroy a number of things. And this is such a horrendous moment for the Romans, so demeaning and so terrifying that they resolve that it must never happen again. And so the Romans seek from 390 onward to build a buffer around the city of Rome, so that the city will no longer be vulnerable to outside invaders. And so they seek to gain control over central Italy. Once they have control over central Italy, there's a problem where central Italy is vulnerable from two directions. And so, in the interest of security and stability, it becomes necessary to expand their aggression and to dominate the entire Italian peninsula. So, the sack of Rome is the moment at which the Romans turn from simply fighting off whoever comes into their territory to making sure people can't come into the territory of Rome and building a security zone around it that takes up first Latium and then central Italy and so on. How do the Romans administer the territories they gain control over? So this is something that the Roman city-state does not have provision for. The Roman Republic is the government of the city-state of Rome. And it's not cut out for, taking care of other territories beyond the sacred boundaries of the Roman city. And so the way in which the Romans approach this is very ad hoc and very auxiliary to how Rome itself is governed. What they do is they set up a portfolio of responsibilities, which is what the word province actually means in Latin. This is a set of tasks for a particular Roman official. And so what they start to do is, during the Hannibalic War, during the war with Hannibal, the Second Punic War, they had started to take the consuls in office and roll over their imperium, the authority with which a consul is invested in order to be able to command a Roman citizen. They roll over their imperium after their term of office as a consul. And so they become what the Romans call a proconsul, somebody who stands in the place of a consul. They do the same thing with the praetors. And so we have the officers of the year, the magistrates of the year, the consuls and praetors that have imperium, the ability to command its citizens. These are rolled over. Their imperium is held over after their term of office, and they are given specific tasks to take care of. These are called provinces, and they might be, cleansing the forests of bandits, or they might be ensuring the shipping in the Adriatic, or they might be administering a particular territory that Rome has suddenly and unexpectedly gained dominion over, which is the case after the First Punic War, when they have these territories, Sardinia and Sicily, that they now have to babysit and rule over. And so they send an ex-consul or an ex-praetor off to, take care of this. And it becomes very much out of sight, out of mind. Once this has been handed off, then the ex-consul is the governor of this territory. He does whatever is necessary to ensure stability in Roman hands and to make sure that taxes are collected. But other than that, the Romans themselves aren't very concerned with it. So this is the province. And the problem with this is this proconsul or propraetor is sent out with no support staff. And so he has to situate himself in the province and ensure that he's able to accomplish his administration. And he does this either or both by buddying up to the local nobility and creating a relationship of mutual benefit, often at the expense of the populace, or aligning himself with the legion that is stationed in that territory, if there is one, and using the strength of the Roman military to dominate and terrorize the local populace. He's often using his own household, his own slaves and freedmen to take care of the nitty-gritty of civil administration. But he has no mechanism for collecting taxes, and so this is usually farmed out to a third party, essentially outsourced to a contractor. These are called publicani, and these contractors collect taxes for profit. And so what they normally do is they're given a specific sum to collect by the Roman Senate that is based on the estimated wealth of a particular territory. The publicani, the tax farmers, collect as much money as they possibly can, gouging the local populace, and then turn over the sum that's been requested by the Senate, keeping the rest as profit for themselves. And so the Romans in the provinces, they develop a reputation for oppressive taxation, which is actually not intended by the Romans, but due to this very ad hoc and slipshod method of organizing the provinces. Not all territories that fall under Roman dominion are organized as provinces. The alternative to this is the client kingdom, where a local king is set up as a Roman puppet and takes care of the province for them. And this has a number of advantages. The Romans don't have to worry about administering themselves. The king is able to collect taxes as would normally have been the case and turn it over to the Romans as tribute. The main disadvantage is that such a agent of a foreign power tends to breed usurpers, nationalist usurpers that take the throne in the name of throwing off the Roman yoke. And this happens in a number of very significant cases, most notably Mithridates of Pontus and Jugurtha and Numidia, both of whom are who take the throne as nationalists with a promise to end Roman rule and to visit as much brutality on the Romans as possible. This gives the Romans a great deal of headache in the last century of the Roman Republic. Cato the Elder was famous for ending all of his speeches with, and the answer here is, Carthage must be destroyed. Carthago delenda est. He ended any speech, regardless of subject, with, and as to additional matters, I believe that Carthage must be destroyed. This is representative of the fact that even though Carthage had been thoroughly defeated in the Second Punic War and was, paying heavy tribute, and the children of its leaders were hostages in Rome, and every effort had been made to ensure that Carthage was no longer a threat to Rome. Symbolically, the idea of Carthage was still preying on the minds of the Romans. And they would not be satisfied. They would not be able to rest until they had gone and destroyed Carthage, which they do in the Third Punic War for no particular reason other than Carthage still existed. Why was Tiberius Gracchus killed? Tiberius Gracchus is a firebrand tribune of the plebs who is attempting to institute a program of land reform. This is essentially taking land that belongs to the Roman public. This is the agro publicus. This is Roman public land. This is land that the Romans had taken in conquest or accepted in tribute throughout the peninsula of Italy. It belonged to the Roman people. Certain landholders were allowed to use it, but they were limited by law to 500 jugera, which is 300 acres. And the problem is that law wasn't being enforced. And so, very rich and wealthy people were amassing huge amounts of land and expanding their estates, and the small landholder was vanishing throughout Italy at a time when these landholders were in immense need, because only a person that owned a certain amount of land was eligible to serve in the Roman armies. And this was, Rome was engaging in more and more wars. Soldiers were vitally needed and in lesser and lesser supply, because a small number of people were swallowing up huge amounts of land, and other people were being thrown off the land or leaving it in order to find other opportunities. And so Tiberius Gracchus puts forward this land reform, which is simply actually enforcing the law and breaking up these large estates, handing them out to the common people who would then raise a new generation of small landholders who would be eligible for military service. But the rich and wealthy are appalled by this. They turn against Tiberius Gracchus. They paint him as a demagogue. The problem is that Tiberius Gracchus isn't doing anything illegal. Even when he presents his bill directly to the tribal assembly without first having passed it through the Senate first, there isn't any law that says he had to do that. It was simply tradition that laws pass through the Senate first and get the Senate's approval before being presented to the Assembly. There's no actual law that says that you have to give your law to the Senate first. And so when he snubs the Senate and passes his law directly through the Assembly, this is an outrage in terms of tradition, but there's nothing that can actually be done. And so the conservative elite are furious and also powerless to act within the system. And this drives them to desperate measures to remove this threat to tradition and custom through the brutal expedient of assassination. This is the watershed that brings about and starts the process of the civil wars and the breakdown of the Roman Republic. And that's the end of the quiz. Please email me with any questions.